Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. This video I'm going to talk about my Week 5 Draftkings picks. Give you guys 6 players that I really like for this upcoming week. Before we get started, I have a couple of announcements to make. First off, please be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. We're about to hit 4,000 subscribers, so I appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me for the past year or so that I've been doing this. Second announcement is I am on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at the DFS process for updates, giveaways, just all the good stuff, just to stay more up to date with me. So it's at the DFS process. And third, with NBA right around the corner, if you want to join for NBA, you can go to the website, click on the NBA tab, and right now I have a special deal going, only $60 for the whole season. And as you know, crushed NBA last year, looking to do the same thing this year. So if you want to get in, I have about 5 spots left. I might add more depending on how many people are wanting to get in for this low price. So you won't find a better deal elsewhere. So take advantage if you want. Just some of the big wins that I had last year. So doing this just to help people out because I know that a lot of people don't have time to make lineups if they're at work all day. So I provided last year. We crushed it. The day that I won this 43,000 was 100,000 of first place. But I split it with about 3 of my members, so we all ate that day and changed a lot of people's lives. So looking to do the same this year, so don't miss out. Only $60. If you're not happy at the end of the year, I'll give you your money back, but I guarantee you will be super happy with the results. But we're not here to talk about NBA. We're here to talk about NFL. So we have a 12-game slate for week number 5. A couple of really interesting games. I'm most interested in this Vikings-Philly game. Vikings are fighting for their season pretty much after, they've looked pretty good, but their defense has just been terrible this year. So I like the Eagles side, and the Eagles defense has also not been good either. Like they got lit up by Mariota. Just some teams have come into Philly and just roughed up the defense. So the Eagles have a good front seven, but the secondary has gotten exposed, and just with the amount that Kirk Cousins throws, I think the Vikings are going to put up a show. And both offenses are going to put up a show. So I like both the Vikings stack and the Philly stack. At quarterback this week, give me Carson Wentz at 58. I was between Carson Wentz and Kirk Cousins. Both are pretty similar price range. But in my mock lineup, I had $200 over, so I had to go down to Carson Wentz, who, I'm fine with Wentz being an Eagles fan. He's looked really good in his, last week, threw the ball 50 times, and the conditions were much better. The Indianapolis game, it was rainy the whole game. It was his first game back in over a year, so obviously he was going to be a little rusty, but he bounced right back through for almost 350 yards against the Titans. And another great matchup here against this Vikings defense, which has been absolute trash. The Vikings defense has given up big games to every single quarterback. They even got blown up by the Bills, and the Bills in the other 3 games, they've barely been able to put up any points. So this Vikings defense, their secondary is very vulnerable, and I think Carson Wentz, now that he has some of his weapons back, like Jeffery, it's just going to make Wentz's job a lot easier. So at 5,800, still very cheap at that price tag. Like he should not be a 5,800 player. And before he got hurt last year, he was the clear MVP. So we're getting a potential MVP candidate, one of the best quarterbacks in the league at one of the lowest prices. So take advantage of Carson Wentz this week at home, and the Eagles are looking for another win because they got after a heartbreaking loss against the Titans. Running backs, I love paying up for running backs. Running backs are they're so much safer than wide receivers in terms of DraftKings points. This week we got no Alvin Kamara to play, and the Kamara chalk is going to go down big time with Mark Ingram's suspension gone. So it's going to, people are going to have to choose between the two now. But we don't have to worry about it on this slate, thankfully. But we do have Melvin Gordon, and if you haven't been watching, I'm all over Melvin Gordon pretty much every week. Just a great player, running the ball and receiving the ball. I love getting running backs that are dual threat in the pass game and the running game. They just have that added upside. They're going to hit 30 DraftKings points a lot more often than players that just run the ball than running backs that just run the ball. And Gordon, being a great touchdown monster that he is, got in there with 10 targets, got a receiving touchdown, and he also rushed for over 100 yards. So, like I said, Gordon is one of the players that can get you 100 yards on the ground and in the air and just absolutely dominate. So against this Oakland team at home, the Chargers offense plays a lot better at home. Oakland giving up 140 rushing yards a game, giving up almost 30 points per game. The Chargers are a very explosive offense. Melvin Gordon should absolutely eat this week at 8,600. Second running back I like is David Johnson at 6,300. Very low price tag for Johnson here, and he finally gets a good matchup. The first 4 weeks have been very tough matchups for him. Hasn't looked that great. Looked a lot better against the Seahawks with Josh Rosen at the quarterback. And the Cardinals finally started feeding Johnson the ball as he got 22 attempts. Still wasn't able to do much with it. Only got 71 yards. But it's a matter of time before David Johnson breaks out. Like I said, he gets the best matchup that he's had. The Bears' defense is excellent, so I'm not shocked that he didn't have a big game here. The Rams, one of the best defenses as well. The Redskins, they were trailing, so he didn't get a lot of attempts on the ground. But if he got about 20 attempts, he would have had a very solid game. So a matter of time for David Johnson to break out. 6,300, a very cheap price tag still. And I think there's a great bet that he goes over 100 yards this week against the 49ers. And this game should be close. So it's not like the Cardinals aren't playing a top team where if they were trailing by a lot, then David Johnson obviously wouldn't get too many attempts on the ground. But I think both teams are evenly matched here, and it's going to be a great game. So we should see David Johnson get a ton of carries on the ground, and he's also should see his targets go up in the receiving game with Josh Rosen at the quarterback. At receiver with Carson Wentz, going to pair him his favorite target, Alshon Jeffery, at 6,200. Jeffery, first week back from a shoulder injury, looked excellent. 9 targets, got 8 catches, and a touchdown. 6,200 price tag is still pretty cheap, given just how much Wentz loves him. Jeffery is a great red zone monster here, and like I said, this Vikings secondary has gotten exposed for the first 4 weeks of the year, and Jeffery, I don't think they will be able to contain Jeffery and Wentz. Both guys are underpriced. I want to take advantage of both guys. So Jeffery at 6,200, just a great play in my opinion. And then another receiver I like is Jordy Nelson at 45. I think this is going to be the Jordy Nelson chalk week for cash games. He's just really cheap at 4,500. He's on the field for pretty much every down, and his targets have gone up to 8 in his past 2 games. Derek Carr has thrown for a ton of yardage lately, and Raiders offense has just thrown the ball a ton. So I think Jordy Nelson at 4,500 is super safe here. The Chargers defense has not been great, and looking at the secondary situation, they have one excellent corner, Casey Hayward, one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and Hayward should be locked up on Amari Cooper. So that should lead to Jordy Nelson being matched up against Jason Verrett here. And as you look, PFF is not very high on him. He's ranked. He just has a grade of 44. So we could see a great game for Jordy Nelson here, where he gets a ton of targets, especially if Cooper is shut down by Casey Hayward. So at 4,500, I love Jordy Nelson this week. And then with Leonard Fournette hurting his hamstring again, looking unlikely to play for a couple weeks, TJ Yeldon at 5,600 against this Chiefs defense. I absolutely love it. Watching the game right now against the Broncos and Chiefs, the Chiefs are just giving up huge holes on the ground to Lindsey and Freeman and Broncos running game. And Yeldon at 5,600, assuming that Fournette is out, not only is he going to get all the carries on the ground, he also does play a factor in the pass game as well, as he got over 45 yards receiving in each of the past 2 weeks. Has 2 receiving touchdowns. Going to get all the goal line work here. So at 5,600, in a potential shootout here against the Chiefs, whose defense, the numbers speak for themselves. You can see the numbers on the screen here. 5,600. Yeldon is too cheap, so I love Yeldon. So you can play him at the flex. But those are the 6 plays I like for this week. Feel high on all of them. If you want to join for NBA, you can visit the website, DFSprocess.net. You can go to the NBA section and get in on that deal before it runs out. Thanks for watching, and good luck this week.